Have you ever wondered why they underestimate you? Why they speak over you, drown you in their noise, and mock your stillness? They think silence is weakness. They think your lack of words is surrender. But here's the truth, silence is a weapon. A quiet storm brewing beneath the surface, ready to break everything they thought they knew. They can't fight what they can't hear. And they can't understand what they refuse to see. So stay silent. Confuse them with your silence, and let the noise of your actions shatter their world. The world is a chaotic place. Everywhere you look, someone is shouting, fighting for attention, desperate to be heard. They scream their opinions, their fake victories, their shallow lives. It's a circus of egos, and you're caught in the middle. They want you to join the frenzy, to prove yourself with words, to shout louder than the rest. But why? To feed their egos? To validate their fragile sense of self? They're terrified of silence because silence forces them to confront their emptiness. Your silence is a mirror they don't want to look into. It's easier for them to dismiss you, to call you weak, passive, or insignificant. Let them. They don't understand that the loudest voice in the room is often the weakest. They don't see that silence is an absence, it's presence. It's a presence so profound, it terrifies them. Silence is not emptiness. It's focus. It's restraint. It's strategy. When you're silent, you're observing. You're learning. You're analyzing every move, every flaw, every weakness in those who underestimate you. You don't waste energy defending yourself against their words because you know words are cheap. When you're silent, you're building. Every moment of stillness is a brick in the fortress of your mind. While they're distracted by their own noise, you're planning your next move. And when you finally act, it's devastating because they never saw it coming. They thought your silence was surrender. They thought you were done. But silence was your preparation, your evolution. They'll never understand the strength it takes to stay silent in a world that demands your voice. But you don't owe them an explanation. Let your silence be the answer. They'll try to twist your silence into something it's not. They'll call it indifference, fear, or ignorance. But what they don't realize is that your silence is a choice. It's not that you can't speak, it's that you choose not to. Because some battles aren't worth fighting. Some people aren't worth engaging. You know the truth. You're not silent because you're weak. You're silent because you're disciplined. Because you understand the value of your energy, your time, and your peace. Let them misinterpret it. Let them make their assumptions. Every word they speak in ignorance only strengthens your position. Every insult, every jab, every attempt to provoke you is just noise. And you've mastered the art of rising above it. Here's the secret they don't want to admit. They're scared of your silence. They're scared because they can't control it. They can't predict it. Noise is predictable, but silence is dangerous. They'll poke and prod, trying to get a reaction out of you. Because your stillness unsettles them. They fear what they don't understand, and your silence is a language they've never learned. It speaks volumes without saying a word. It forces them to question themselves, to doubt their own actions. They'll replay your silence over and over in their minds, trying to decode it, trying to find a meaning that makes them feel safe. But there's no safety in your silence. Only power. Silence isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing everything without announcing it. While they're busy flaunting their empty victories, you're working. You're grinding. You're building a legacy that doesn't need words to be remembered. Your silence doesn't mean you're idle. It means you're deliberate. Every move you make is calculated, every action precise. When you finally reveal what you've been working on, it won't just surprise them, it will devastate them. Because while they were busy making noise, you were making progress. And nothing confuses them more than seeing you succeed without saying a word. Staying silent isn't easy. It's a battle against your own impulses, against the urge to defend yourself, to prove yourself, to fight back. But every time you resist that urge, you grow stronger. Every time you choose silence over noise, you become more resilient. They'll try to break your silence, to drag you down to their level. But you've learned to stand tall in a storm. You've learned that true power doesn't need validation. True power is knowing who you are and refusing to let the world define you. Your silence is your shield, your weapon, your sanctuary. And no one can take that from you. Silence is not just a reaction, it's a calculated move. Think of it as a chess game where every unspoken word is a piece you choose not to move. The noisemakers around you are playing impulsively, sacrificing their best pieces for fleeting victories. But you, in your silence, are setting the stage for the final checkmate. When they expect you to react, you observe. When they expect you to defend, you strategize. They want you to fight battles that don't matter, to drain your energy in conflicts that lead nowhere. But you're smarter than that. You've mastered the art of waiting, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, to speak, to act. And when that moment comes, the silence they mock will become the silence they fear. Silence is more than external. It's the foundation of your inner world, a fortress no one can breach. The noise outside is relentless, trying to invade your thoughts, to shake your confidence. But your silence is a barrier, a shield that keeps the chaos at bay. Inside this fortress, you're untouchable. Every insult hurled at you, every attempt to provoke you, stops at the gates. They can't reach you because they don't understand you. They can't hurt you because they can't touch what's inside. And that drives them mad. Your silence isn't just a tool, it's your sanctuary. It's where you grow, where you plan, where you become unstoppable. Let them scream into the void. You're too busy building an empire in the quiet. The greatest mistake they'll ever make is underestimating the power of your silence. They'll misread it as passivity, as weakness, as surrender. But in truth, it's their noise that's their downfall. They're so busy talking, bragging, and tearing others down that they fail to see what's coming. And when the moment comes, when you finally act, they'll realize too late that your silence was never submission. It was preparation. It was focus. It was power waiting to be unleashed. And the shock of your strength will echo louder than any words ever could. Silence doesn't end when you break it. It lingers. The impact of your quiet strength resonates long after you've spoken, long after you've acted. They'll replay your silence in their minds, haunted by what they didn't see, by what they didn't anticipate. Your silence becomes a legacy. It's the reminder that strength doesn't need to shout, that power doesn't need to perform. It's the lesson they'll never forget, the mark you leave without ever saying a word. In a world obsessed with being heard, choosing silence is an act of rebellion. It's a declaration that you don't need validation, that you don't play by their rules. While they fight for scraps of attention, you're focused on the bigger picture. You're building something that doesn't require applause to be meaningful. Your silence is your freedom. It's the proof that you're not controlled by the chaos around you. You've risen above the noise, and from this height, you see what truly matters. Let them fight below. You're aiming higher. Silence is not for the weak. It takes courage to stand alone, to resist the urge to shout back, to stay still when the world demands movement. But every moment of endurance strengthens you. Every insult you let pass, every taunt you rise above, adds to your power. They don't understand how you endure, how you remain unshaken. But that's the beauty of silence. It's the strength they'll never comprehend. It's the resilience that sets you apart, that makes you unstoppable. Silence is enigmatic. It draws people in, makes them curious, makes them wonder. The less you say, the more they want to know. The quieter you are, the louder your presence becomes. They'll try to figure you out, to unravel your mystery, but they never will. Because silence is a language only the wise understand. And in a world that fears the unknown, your silence becomes your greatest allure. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Your mystery is your power. When the time comes to break your silence, make it count. Let your words, your actions, your triumphs speak louder than anything they've ever heard. Let your silence end with a roar that shakes their foundations, that leaves no doubt about your strength. Your victory will be their silence. Your success will be their confusion. And in that moment, they'll understand what you always knew, that silence is not the absence of power, but its greatest expression. When all is said and done, it won't be your words they remember. It will be your silence. It will be the quiet strength that left them speechless, the unshakable resolve that stood tall in the storm. Your legacy will be the silence that confused them, that defeated them, that changed everything. So stay silent. Confuse them with your silence. And let the noise of your actions speak for generations to come. Silence isn't the end. It's the beginning. The beginning of a story they never expected. The beginning of a revolution they can't control. When the time comes, your actions will speak louder than their words ever could. And in that moment, they'll realize the truth. Your silence wasn't weakness. It was strength. It was wisdom. It was power. So let them talk. Let them judge. Let them misunderstand. While they're lost in their noise, you're finding your clarity. While they're fighting for attention, you're building something they'll never see coming.